Sustainable Women's Health 2030 Systems Policy and Community Reset. The speaker of our program is Dr. Asha Jain, ma'am. We welcome you, ma'am. The chairpersons are Dr. Abha Singh, ma'am, Professor, Senior Consultant Patron, ROGS IMS, Dr. Aradhana Gupta, Infertility Specialist at Aradhana Test Tube Baby Center, Dr. Jyoti Yarolkar, Consultant Gynecologist, Sikandrabad, Dr. Rita Agrawal, Senior Consultant, Dr. Tripti Nagaria, Dean Professor Chandulal Chandrakar Memorial Hospital, Dr. Ragini Agarwal, ma'am, and Dr. Ritu Jain, ma'am, Consultant Gynecologist at Shri Mahavir Hospital, Raipur. Please, all the chairpersons, come on the dais. I request chairpersons to introduce our speaker, Dr. Asha Jain.
A very good afternoon to one and all. It's my privilege and honor to introduce.
Ma'am, I have already been introduced. Just one line. Whatever you
Dr.
felt.
Asha Jain, ma'am, is a very important. She is she's President Raipur Menopausal Society, General Secretary. So many feathers on her cap, and she's having important positions. She is ISCCP and colposcopy trainer, certified course and trainer in FCCS OB, and IOTA certification from IOTA Group. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. You know, this is a topic about which none of us know anything. Sustainable women's health. Why this topic is important here in a menopause conference? In menopause, here we are going to talk about the systems that exist, the policy changes that exist and that are required, and the whole community that needs a reset. Why? The SDG rules guidelines are there that you should be free from cancer, control this disease, control that disease. But as usual, menopause is missed. Why? We have to understand that now is the time we have to push the narrative that don't look at women, adolescent, infant, teenager, reproductive age group, old age. In all this, midlife is missed. It's gone. And that is the opportunity that has to be pushed. So we move from episodic reproductive care to sustainable life course women's health. You have to cover the entire course of women. Women's health cannot remain limited to pregnancy, contraception, and reproductive care. The 2030 agenda links women's health to equity, universal health care, gender equality, climate resilience, and healthy aging. For IMS, menopause and midlife care are natural entry points for preventive health systems. So that is why this topic comes in now. What do we want in 2030? Do we want to just survive or we want to thrive and transform? So the target is that we should survive, end preventable deaths, and reduce avoidable morbidity across the life course. Many things that are preventable should be prevented. What is avoidable should be avoided. We should thrive in physical, mental, and social well-being, and not only disease treatment, because disease treatment is reactive, whereas prevention of disease and maintaining health is proactive, and that is what we need today. And we need to transform. What do we need to transform? We need to create enabling environments for women through policy, through financing, data. These three are available. What is not available is accountability, and that has to be added. There has to be accountability. Every day you read we did this many camps, we saw this many patients. What happened to those patients after that newspaper coverage? Were they followed up? Did they actually get the treatment they needed, or they got the treatment that you had? These are two absolutely different things. So we want to create by 2030 a frame where we can survive, thrive, and transform. So reproductive services remain essential, but they are not sufficient for 2030. A comprehensive package includes menstrual health, infertility, sexual health, cancer prevention, non communicable diseases, menopause, mental health, and most important, disability and aging. Women spend several decades beyond reproduction. Those decades require structured care. India, the average menopause age is 46 years. What is the standard average age of women in India today? It's 70 years. And we all know that if you stop averaging out general age, many women will live half their lives beyond menopause. And if we cannot take care of them properly, then it creates a very bad resource for the whole country. So now what do we do next? Health outcomes are shaped by education, income, mobility, safety, nutrition, sanitation, work, and social protection. All these have to work together. Gender affects the exposure to risk. Anything, any political instability, we all have the example of Bengal. We have the example of partition. Wherever there is instability, it is the women who suffer. Whether it is rape, whether it is killings, whether it is having to produce multiple children, whatever, it is the women who remain sufferers. So, gender does affect the exposure to risk, access to care, treatment completion, and decision making power. How many patients stand in your OPD and say, अभी घर वालों से पूछ के बताते हैं, अभी पूछ के बताते हैं, हस्बैंड बताएगा, पिताजी बताएंगे, माँ बताएगी. How many times? And this somewhere has to be corrected. So clinical care must connect with community systems and also policy levers. We need a life course reset. We need for adolescents, nutrition, anemia control, menstrual health, HPV vaccination and mental health. In brackets, sexual health. Then for reproductive years, contraception, preconception care, safe maternity care, and cancer screening. And midlife and aging, menopausal care, NCD prevention, bone health, mental health, function, and dignity. These are also very important factors for the health of women. We have all seen adolescence. It is the first health investment window. There is one added thing to this, point number 3, digital literacy. Parents need to know what their kids are assessing. They need to see reels में क्या देखते हैं, dark web को access तो नहीं हो रहे हैं, because pornography, racketing, human trafficking all starts at social media. Therefore, even digital literacy of the parents, of the family, of the caregivers is equally important in adolescence. Preconception care, everybody has talked about it. Getting a pregnancy when you want, not getting when you don't want, and having a healthy pregnancy. Pregnancy care now needs to be risk-based. So there has to be early registration, risk stratification, and referral pathways, which the government is doing in a really great manner at present. Protocols do not exist correctly for hypertension, diabetes, anemia, infections, ultrasound, emergency transport, and blood readiness. These have to be added. And respectful care and postpartum planning should be embedded in antenatal care. Patient comes, she delivers, third day she is home, and then we forget. She's just a statistic. But we have to remember, as caregivers for women, that no woman is a statistic. She is a key fulcrum of the entire family, and through the family, the society. So you don't forget her. You do call her after 3 months and 6 months. Postpartum again is not the end of care. Many women see the doctor last when they have their delivery. And after that, they come with postmenopausal bleeding or they come with fracture. That should not happen. A postpartum care should include a BP follow-up, glucose follow-up, anemia correction and contraception, mental health, breastfeeding, care of the pelvic floor. In vaginal deliveries, prolapse happens, stress incontinence happens because we as doctors don't spend time asking them to retrain their pelvic floor. So we need to spend time on that, wound care, and also violence. Wherever there is drugs, wherever there is alcoholism, women are exposed to a lot of violence, especially in the lower strata, and we need to be aware about it. GDM, preeclampsia, preterm birth, and fetal growth restriction have to be noted somewhere in big letters because they are future cardiometabolic warning signs. A woman who suffers from gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, preterm birth, or FGR is more likely to have cardiometabolic dysfunction as she crosses the age of 35. What about midlife and menopause? The neglected decades can become the strongest prevention health platform. So, as we see, midlife women often fall between maternal health and geriatrics. So, IMS has already started menopausal clinics. We have the SYNC exam to train our youngsters about it. And even elders like me have given the exam twice. So, you have to train and focus on opening a menopausal clinic. That trend doesn't exist. We need to make a dedicated time for menopausal women so that counseling becomes easier. Menopause is also a public health opportunity because don't just think of hot flashes and hormone therapy. This is a time where you can include cardiovascular risk, bone health, cancer screening, GSM, sexual health, sleep, and mental health. All of these can be assessed and any irregularity can be corrected. And aging women can have healthy longevity. What happens is, all of us who want to live to 100, we were only small kids till the age of 10 or 12. We were teenagers for another 7 years. After that, we were young, maybe for another 20 years. And then whatever is prolonged is old age. What we are prolonging is old age. And as age prolongs, age-related morbidity increases. So whenever you are calculating, you should include function, independence, safety, and quality of life as well, and not just quantity of life. There has to be dignity of life, definitely. In India, in the National Health Policy 2017, they have recognized women's health needs beyond reproductive age. It includes reproductive morbidities and health needs of women above 40 years. It gives legitimacy to midlife, menopause, and preventive health services. Universal health coverage in women. It must include preventive, promotive, curative, rehabilitative, and palliative services. Right now, it is just diagnostic and curative services. So that scope has to be widened. The service package must include primary care, medicines, diagnostics, referral care, and follow-up. Financial hardship and delayed access remain major barriers for women because most of them are not in control of the family purses. This is what public thinks. I always say that a woman is always able to save something to give her daughter. She is always, capable enough, however poor she is, to buy a little gold or a little silver. Let her consider her body more sacred than a bit of gold and silver. and spend a little on herself, getting the regular tests that are required and getting the medicines, the calcium, the protein that she needs to have better health. What about prevention and screening? So, in India, the screening is very low. Cervical screening 1.9%, breast and oral cavity. Imagine oral cavity is no big deal. It is less than 1%. So awareness alone does not create screening coverage. Screening, this is what we have been seeing 90, 70, 90 over and over and over again. But elimination needs vaccination, screening and treatment together. There should be no screening without tracking. And there should be no tracking without responsibility. Somebody is tracking, nobody to report to, no action taken, that doesn't work. So we need a proper screening protocol and it has to be connected to tracking and treatment. What about the NCD reset? Women's clinic should routinely identify BP, diabetes, obesity, dyslipidemia, anemia, and thyroid. And every gynecologist visit is an opportunity for NCD screening. Cardiovascular disease, as I already said, obstetric history should become a part of cardiovascular history because certain events will cause problem. Bone health and mobility. Bone health is mobility and mobility is independence and dignity. If you can't get up from a chair, if you can't sit for toilet, your independence, your dignity goes for a toss. Therefore, bone health and mobility are very, very important. Then comes mental health, violence, and social safety, a disease that presents in adolescence, disappears in reproductive age, reappears at midlife and at menopausal transition. So be aware, and mental disease is also a disease, it can be treated. And personality disorders are not mental diseases. Therefore, don't accept that I can misbehave because I'm menopausal. No, that is not a mental disease. So, facilities must provide confidentiality, respectful listening, and referral. We also have, it is important that the climate change, whatever we can do about it, tree planting, everything, because see, the whole environment, there is more heat, there is less work, whatever happens in the community, anything bad happens, it is going to affect the life of women 100%. Therefore, if we want everything good, we have to take care of the environment, we have to create less waste, and that waste has to be correctly done. And digital health should be taken advantage of. Just now, Dr. Madhulika spoke about all the wrong messages, and now we need to create some valid, maybe in the IMS heading, that all doctors putting under the window of IMS, we need legitimate information to go, and digital health should be the ABHA ID, which connects a woman across her life. And in that way, we are able to trace what is happening to a woman. That is very, very important. The whole community has to reset from camps and slogans to continuity, completion, and equity. It's not just doing a camp and walking away from it. So we have to, community work must end in completed care, not only attendance photographs. Sustainable health means designing for the women who are hardest to reach. So those who are not able to come, we should be able to reach them. For IMS, add BP, BMI, waist hip ratio, diabetes risk, and bone health counseling to women's clinic visits. Offer age appropriate cervical and breast screening with recall and referral tracking. Convert menopause visits into preventive health visits that include heart, bone cancer, and mental health, and reduce avoidable waste while protecting infection safety, sterilization, and documentation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Excellent speech, ma'am. You have covered from childhood adolescent, midlife, menopause, and also the challenges. The takeaway message was really great. That is, it should be continuity, not just do the camp and leave. It should be the documentation and continuity. Then only we can achieve by 2030. Excellent speech, audience. Thank you.
Dr. Asha, for bringing out something which is really, really less talk. More or less, in our Regional Association of North Indian Gynecologists, we are running a program P2P, prime to postpartum to prime. You very rightly said, after 3 months, we forget that woman. We don't even remember how she is living the life, whether she is depression, she is fighting with the weight, fighting with the body image, till she came as a postmenopausal person. And so basically, it's a continuum of the care. Women come to us as an adolescent girl, and till she is there, she is with us. So wonderfully, you explained everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It was an excellent talk. As you rightly said, that everyone conduct camps, everyone do that. But after that, really, are we following that? Are we keeping a track? Are we doing anyone is taking accountability of that? So that is very, very important to make the policies work properly. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Great presentation. Thank you, ma'am, for clarifying these complex topics so clearly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, our chairpersons, for patient listening and support. Moving on to the next panel, midlife procedure and safety reset. The speakers of our panel are Dr. Aarti Gupta, ma'am, Dr. Shashi Srivastava, ma'am. We welcome you, ma'am. The experts and chairpersons of this panel are